Tonight, the focus is on one man, regarded as the patriarch of Christians, and indeed many other religions. A loyal friend of God. He departed his country and kindred without knowing what lies ahead, just by instruction, to a land promised by God to his descendants, even though he had no offspring yet. Challenges came to try his faith, and more often than not, he passed the test. Even if there are question marks on how he handled some issues. For instance, he lied twice about his wife's identity out of fear before God intervened on both occasions. Nevertheless, he was a responsible man, a selfless mentor, and someone who reverenced and obeyed God. He managed his household well, and God blessed him richly. Anytime there was an internal conflict, he tactfully resolved the issue before it got messy. He zealously came to the rescue of his nephew twice in the process of saving a nation in one instance and even negotiating with God in the other. His hospitality was second to none, entertaining total strangers who turned out to be angels from God that came to reaffirm God's covenant on the back of the promised child. Despite the physical limitation, he still believed, and God honored his faith and gave him a son. The ultimate trial came when God asked him to slay the very son he promised him. Yet, he never argued, but was on course to sacrifice his son before God intervened with a ram. No wonder he was called the father of faith. We present to you Abraham.
Hallelujah.
We have a few panelists that will be sending questions to Father Abraham, like I choose to call him. And they are Pastor Akintunde. Please join us. Mr. Bamidele, pardon me. And Mrs. Margaret Adebola.
Happy to have you. I'm very much happy. And we very much welcome you, Father Abraham. You have a very, very impressive CV, biography, a friend of God, not just a friend, a loyal friend of God. Father of faith, you were responsible, your obedience was top-notch. And the entire universe was blessed, and it's still being blessed through you. And something actually struck me too, and that's the fact that you were a selfless mentor. But to start with, who was your mentor? We would like to know tonight.
Well, I feel humbled by these podiums you have passed on me. But I would like to say that I have no precedents to follow. I have no one before me to copy. But God was there for me. And if I would want to describe who I have as a mentor, said there was no one around to provide any mentorship. I looked unto God, and God indeed was my mentor. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So now that we know that God was your mentor, how were you able to survive without a leading human example?
Well, God is omnipresent, omniscient. In fact, He is omnidirectional. He knows everything. And He talks to me. I relate with Him. So I have no problems at all tackling issues as they come. Because I have someone who already knew about the matter before they ever came over to me. So that's why I was able to tackle issues around me as fairly as I could. Given to that you will realize that I'm a human being with flesh and blood. So I could, please give me some excuses as to why I made some mistakes.
Okay. And I'm sorry to say that we will give you, but that won't stop us from making such inquiry. And just before I turn to my co-panelists, it's good that you were able to establish that God Himself was your mentor. But what kind of mentor were you to Lot, rather? It really didn't turn out well, despite his relationship with you. And that really keeps me wondering, how were you able to pass on the same goodness, the same, all of what you're able to do? But when I really looking into the Bible, and then looking at the different situations around Lot and how he responded to the situation, it begins to get me worried as to the kind of mentorship you provided to him, despite the kind of relationship that exists between both of you.
Young people. There was a generational gap that gave me problem with Lot. I have a generational challenge between us. I tried as much as possible to bring him up. But young men have their ways and have their peer group that talk to them. I won't be there when those people are influencing him. For example, I can't imagine that this young man that I brought, that my father brought all of us from all of Cadiz, before he died on the way. But by the time God spoke to me that I should leave Terra and go to where He was going to show me, I took him along. It's my nephew. And I raised him up properly to the best of my ability. But I can't imagine that he would start a fight between my servant and his servants over property, over land, over things that he could discuss with me. So I said, my brother, come. Don't let us fight. My people, they have a proverb that the sky is wide enough for birds to fly. There is no need for accident on the sky. So, check, you see this space, wide enough. Where do you want? I gave him the opportunity to choose even before me. And the young man, like every young person, looked at the beauty of the area he chose. They chose that place. And I said, okay, we can go. My example is enough to teach him lessons in humility, in selflessness. It's enough to teach him that this grab mentality shouldn't be present in you. But I have no control. I have no control over these things. All I did was to hand it over to God. And the will of man versus the plan of God. The will of man has always prevailed. Because where the will of man, God will not force you to do what he wants you to do. He wants you to do what you want to do out of his free will. That was the challenge I had with Lord. Not that I did not train him. I tried my best.
Father Abraham, thank you very much. Before I let you go on that, I have another question for you, sir. Looking at the experience you had with Lot, how easy is for us these days to actually judge parents via the way their children turn out? As in, part of the way, looking at a child that grows in a Christian home and has been taught some Christian virtues and turn out to be someone else or something else. Can we actually judge the parent and say, okay, it's because you have not trained that child in the way that he should go?
Well, because of the advantage of the hindsight that we have now, because Abraham is now living several decades after his time, I want to translate us to the life and times of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ had 12 disciples. They all were exposed to the same training. They were exposed to the same discipleship program. They were exposed to the same sermons. Miracles happened. In fact, he sent them out in twos, and they came back with so many testimonies about the devil crashing down. Yet, in just those 12 people, we still had one, in spite of all the exposure, that went his own way. And God did not stop him from going his own way, because he could have been hardened into obedience if God wanted it, but God did not. So as a father, as a parent, it will be wrong, or as observers, it will be wrong for anyone to judge parents on the score of what they see the children do. It will be good to go deeper, to find out, if necessary, to ensure that one is not sincerely wrong about being judgmental in such matters. So that a child behave one way or the other. Children are a gift from the Lord. You are a custodian of God's gifts. The best you could do is to lead them as much as you can. Even if God will not force anyone to do what he will, how much more a parent? God has never forced anyone. The only occasion I see force, or maybe force, was in the case of Saul becoming poor. He had to be knocked down. But after that example, I've not seen one. God has allowed man's will to govern his life. If you tune your will to that of God's, better. God's will for Samson was for him to rescue Israel. But Samson chose some other ways. And God did not stop him. Even King David had a covenant. By the time he was going into another woman's life, he was not stopped. God didn't stop him. God would have, if with the anointing that was present in the life of David, God would have stopped him. Even our father Adam, God gave them instructions, but he still allowed their will to prevail. So the will of man is about the nature of God that is in us. If God has a will, man also has a will. And children and adults we are children of God. God has no grandchild. Does God have grandchildren? No.
No.
Does God have grandchildren?
No.
We are children of God. Both the parents and the children are children of God. So you do your best and leave the rest to God. And that's what I've done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I have another question for you. Looking at the story of your life, sir, you told us now that your father took you alongside Lot to leave
Our country.
he set out. Actually, he set out for Canaan, but he died at Haran. Now, my question is this: you must be a man of courage, knowing fully well that your dad died in transit. What gave you that courage to now say, okay, the mission or the vision that my father couldn't complete or achieve, or what he couldn't, I want to set out to do that, knowing fully well that he died in the course of the same Canaan that you set out for now?
Thank you very much. I didn't set out of my own. If it were of my own, I would have stayed put where my father died. I didn't set out on my own. I had a directive from someone who is higher than my father. And I decided that if he asked me to go, live where my father died, because at that time when we were living, my father had already spread tentacles in the environment. That was why God said I should leave my people. So I left a lot of people there and decided to move to where God said I should go. In fact, at the time when God was giving these instructions, I must confess to you, I didn't even know it was Canaan. Just said, get up. It was when I was going that the Spirit started directing, and I found out that God was directing me to where my father set out to. So, if my father didn't achieve the goal and the son did it, to me, I think God just has a special interest in our family. So that's why I did what I did. Let me repeat myself. I didn't go on my own. If on my own, I would stay put. But because God said I should go, and that was why I left. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Because of time, the answer you gave actually generated another question, but I thought I should hold on with that. Let me ask the next one. Oh, I should ask you, sir. Okay. I want you to help us with this. Your father left.
Yes.
And couldn't get to Canaan. But you left Haran and got to Canaan. And from the question I asked, you've told us now that you acted on God's word. If we're going to compare in our days now, sir, how good or how strong or how reliable should our life depend on what God says to us in any mission?
Well, the challenge is the falsehood and deception that we have all around us today. Quite a lot of people claim God sent, whereas God did not send. A lot of people claim that they are God's followers, but we know who they follow, or they will know who they follow. So the question essentially is the person who holds out himself as having heard from God. But God cannot lie. We have seen plenteous examples around us about people whose life have nothing to do with God, yet they ascribe themselves as God's servants. Jesus Christ, our Lord, said, by their fruits we shall know them. And indeed, there are so many ugly fruits around us today that shows the root, the ugly root from which those fruits emanated. So God has no problems at all with these issues. It is man who continually revel in deception, falsehood, and lies that have overturned the plans of God and also turned his creation, the world, upside down.
Thank you very much, sir. My next question for you is this, sir. God spoke to you. Take your son, your only son, the one you loved. He was so specific about it. And go sacrifice him in a place I will show you. Like the way he told you to leave, as you have said to us. But when you're about to kill him, one angel now surfaced and told you not to kill him. How were you able to know that this angel is not angel of darkness? Coming to our own time now, sir, when we felt we've had God said something to us, and when God is saying it or saying another thing now, we can't even decipher. So how were you able to? This is an angel now, this Abraham, and we have angels of darkness. So how were you able to sort that out, sir?
Thank you very much. In fact, the challenge of sacrificing Isaac was a very testy one. Very testy and very hard. But you know, I decided that I want to know what God is saying. Because twice he spoke. If I had relied on what he said, I would have killed Abraham. I would have killed Isaac. But I chose to relate with God on a second by second basis, so that I not only heard what he said, I'm also hearing what he's saying. And what he's saying contraindicated what he said. So if I had gone ahead to do what he said, without listening to what he's saying, what would have been the consequences? It would have been catastrophic for me, for Isaac, for Sarah, and for the entire creation that God had planned for. So that is the issue about us getting stale with God. A lot of people are radiating anointing that have become stale, that God is no longer in. They are no longer hearing what God is saying. They continually harp on what God has said. God has moved from what he has said into what he is saying. But people who started well with God got stuck and no longer had God. And all they harp upon is what they had God said before. They no longer hear what God is saying now. And the challenge today is that those of us who hold out ourselves as God's children must constantly be in God's presence. Not just to know what God said, but we must also know what God is saying. That is the challenge. Jesus is clear about the voice that we will hear are the voice that he also hears. He says, the voice of a stranger they will not hear. When you are sure of your standing with God, you'll be clear in your mind if it was God or if it was not God talking to you. But certainly, I know the voice of my Father. I know the voice of God because he has dealt with me in many areas, and I clearly understand when he speaks to me. So I have no difficulty at all in hearing him twice on one subject. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That was so insightful. And before I let you go, sir, I have this one more question for you. Before I do. The question is, why are you regarded as father of faith?
Well, that would be narcissistic of me. What would be a narcissist? To begin to promote himself or exalt himself. It is those people who, it is human beings that began with that label, and the Spirit of God put it into the heart of men to record it in the scriptures as such. I have no input in it at all. I didn't contribute to that discourse.
Thank you, humble Father Abraham. You're so humble, and no doubt about that. But the truth is, you displayed great faith with all that you've been able to even let us know tonight, even with the aspect of going ahead to sacrifice the son that you love so much. But it also baffles me because I know that for real, fear and faith are two different words. Ideally, they don't even come together. They shouldn't even do that. But it also saddened for me that you had to lie about Sarah being your sister. Again, don't tell me she's your sister. We know all of that because the intention was to deceive the king. Why did you actually lie? Despite that, you acted so gallantly and you were fearless at several points. But I wonder why you would lie about your relationship. And the intention was actually to deceive the kings, and you were able to. And not just lying, that it's the major problem, it's the fact that it was so easy for you to trade her for your own comfort. You weren't also afraid that something could actually happen, she could be abused and all of that. You knew what could come after such an action, but you were still so much afraid that you had to make her or lie that she was your sister. I'm just wondering why you did that.
Well, you know, Satan is a very old cherubim, very old angel. That he has always been there. And I alluded to my nature, my human nature. When Canaan became tough for us to live, there was no food, there was famine. I tried to see how all of us could survive. This time around, I must confess, I didn't consult God. I didn't consult God. It's a weakness that I admit. But I use my brain to calculate what could be advantageous for us, forgetting that God could provide for all necessities. So that was a momentary seizure for me as a human being. So But the whole plan was for us not to die of hunger. I meant well. I acted in good faith. I may have done the right thing in the wrong way, or the wrong thing in the right way. I accept my faults, but I must say that I did so for purposes of preserving all of us. Because if we lived in abject poverty that hunger had visited on us, it would become something else. So I thought it would be good for us to go, feed, and then maybe come back, and then continue with what God has planned for us. But I thank God, because my father has always been there. He knew where my weakness, where Satan has buffeted me. So he quickly came and saved the day. Can I thank him enough? So he saved the day because he knew I was weak at that point. God helped me. So he did not allow my wife to be defiled or violated. He was returned to me the way he went back. Now, with the kind of things that I hope we will get there. Now, even without lifting a finger, God converted my trick, or my tricks, into plenty and abundance. So, I know, even without anybody judging me, I have judged myself. And I am sure God saw my heart. And he decided not to visit me with any serious penalty.
Okay.
Sir, before you let Father Abraham go on this, sir, there was a time you boasted of not allowing a king to make you rich, lest they will say he made Abraham rich. But the things you received because of Sarah, you didn't return them. Or was there a restitution?
Well, those things were, when you look at them, the truth had been uncovered before those things were done. God intervened in his very uncommon fashion in the affairs of the death of sin that I got plunged into. He intervened and rescued me, not because I prayed, not because I even asked him. I never did. So it was not as if those things were stolen. They were not stolen. They were not inappropriately obtained. They were sincerely and genuinely given to me. And I want to say it was the problem, because God knew why we sauntered into that infidelity. It was because of our lust for what we would eat. And he now supplied us so that we will not have reason to go back to Egypt. So that was what happened. I never need to have any reparation done at all. Because it was a gift that God caused to be given to me by those people that would have been my slave masters. So God used their resources to bless us.
Okay, thank you, Father Abraham. Apparently, I'm beginning to see why you're actually a good friend of God. You seem to know your way around being very humble, admitting your faults, just like David and all of that. However, I wish all that you did, or the only weakness that was recorded, was just lying. I'm also thinking, to an extent, Sarah had some influence on you, and she made an offer And the rate at which you jumped at it made me think that you were not just expecting it, you've probably been eyeing a guy and it was just like, oh yeah, you can go, and then you just jumped into it so easily. How did you arrive at such a conclusion? Especially that it wasn't even Sarah that God was speaking with. You had that opportunity to have that deeper relationship. You understood that, yes, Isaac was coming, there was a promise. But then, as soon as she said, Jack, before Robin said, so exactly what happened?
This is very difficult. But I know my father will help me because to err is human. And God sees my heart, that I love my wife, Sarah. I love her very, very. In fact, to the point, even the lies that I had to tell in Egypt, to my mind, was protective of her, really. Although on the reflection I saw, I exposed her to some dangers. But even at that, my acceptance of my wife's advice is a function of the respect I have for her. I respected her and I respected her judgment. It could jolly well be that I had what people generally call enlightened self-interest. But that coincided with a quality advice from a woman whom we started together and was concerned about our inheritance, about what will become of us after we are not there. We reasoned well. It was not out of place in our generation for such things to be done. So what he advised was not out of place. Just the only difference is because we are a family put together by God and sent to a place for a purpose. That was the only difference. When you remove that from the environment in which, or the socio-cultural milieu around us, I didn't do anything extraordinary. I did things like others. So the issue is not about whether I quickly jumped at my wife's offer. Look at it, if I didn't do what she asked me to do, there would be commotion in the family. There could be misunderstanding, misrepresentation, underestimating the kind of wife and the impact that a wife ought to have on her husband. I have no doubt about the fact that my wife, because of the love I had for her, she has so much of influence over me. And overall, both of us eventually saw the wrong in it. I, as the head of the home, ought to have exercised better judgment. But I did not. Not because I was weak in doing it, but because my wife, whom I respected so much, whom I loved so much, whom I believe we have common destiny together, was the one that offered the advice. Why should I reject?
As much as I would like to just let it lay low, you've been using very strong words for your wife about respecting her judgment and all of that. But when it came to some other crucial decision, at least it wasn't recorded that you consulted with her to go sacrifice Isaac, the son you both had together. So how do you reconcile that? Oh, in one way, it was I respected her judgment when it was time to go into a alliance. The other way around again, you're going to sacrifice a whole child, and you didn't deem it fit. At least we didn't read that you consulted with her.
Well, I have told you, and everybody hearing me, that this is a woman I deeply love. When you love a woman, you, to the point to which I love Sarah, there's a tendency for you not to want to cause her any anguish, not to want to cause her any pain, as it were, not to want to cause her what would amount to a skirmish that could terminate the relationship between me and God. There was no doubt about the fact that God gave me certain instructions. I cannot allow the pain that would visit or the distraction that could attend to my determination to obey God to be affected. That was one major reason why I decided not to tell her, because it would cause a distraction and an ultimate disobedience to God. I would rather cause offense that we can settle between ourselves later than to offend God, who indeed was the one that gave us this child out of turn. We got this child out of turn. Everything around procreation around us had ceased. God energized those things to come. So I believed that if God asked me to give this to him, it can cause us to have many more. So it's not because I disrespected my wife, rather it's because of love that I deepened into fear. Fear not to hurt her. Fear not to do things that will make us to jointly be accused by God of disobedience. And fear of God's judgment on me, because God gave me that instruction. He will judge me severely if I disobeyed. And whatever reasons I gave may not be tenable before him. So I rest my case yes.
So for want of time, I won't, because I was trying to compare both consequences, and you would agree with me that till today, the fruit from Agai is still such a very big problem for us that we still face. However, because of time, we will open it up in case you have questions for Father Abraham. Okay, so while we're warming up for questions, okay, I think we will take that question. How many persons, please? Would you just, okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Someone help us with it. So we can start with you.
Thank you. Having the will and this document, Grandpa, great-grandpa, one of your children, Joseph, the grandchildren. Reading through the will of our families in chapter 15 of Genesis, the beginning that you read from. When we got to verse 11, you had to offer sacrifice to them. And in verse 11, the Bible said, when the birds of prey came, you drove them away. Your offer sacrifice to God, and when you have duly done all you needed to do, the birds of prey. Bible says birds of prey. That means you know what those birds do. Normally, they came to prey on the thing, on the sacrifice, and you drove them away. What informed the decision, sir? Because it cost some of my forefathers 400 years in the wilderness, sir.
So we'll take all the questions. This is the first set of questions.
Now maybe I should just answer that very briefly. I should not answer that very briefly. Sacrifice is unto God. You are talking about the birds of prey. As far as I'm concerned, my primary focus is on God, to whom the sacrifice is due. Whatever, just like I discountenance my wife, indeed, even the offer of my son. What about a bird? I am very, very particular about my sacrifice being accepted to God, to whom I made the sacrifice. So birds are to me extraneous matters, extraneous issues, which should not be entertained. That was why I threw them away. So if my judgment became a problem, ultimately, I acted in good faith. And God sees the heart of men, that I did not in any manner want that sacrifice to be desecrated by anything or by anybody. That was why, that was the reason for my action.
My question is this. On your way to sacrifice your son asked you a question. Study this, the wood, the fire, every other thing, where's the ground? You told him, God will provide. That statement, would you classify it as deception or prophecy? And I would know that your son eventually survived that event. How will you look at him? A good father or a bad father?
I made that pronouncement prophetically. I'm a servant of the Most High God. God has been speaking with me. And I know that He can never put me into any problem that He will not solve. So both of us are in this challenge. In fact, my prayer at that time was that my son should not run away. Because he could bolt away and become a problem. So that he was with me, I needed to encourage him that God, the God that we serve, is more than enough to provide for all our needs. And that was one anchor that hooked him up to me till we got to where we were to be, and God saw our hearts and provided us alternatives. Glory be to His name. Hallelujah.
Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Mine is not really a question, it's a bit in defense of Father Abraham concerning mentorship. I think I would say he kind of mentored Lot well, because the Bible records that Lot had 2 daughters in Sodom and Gomorrah, and they were virgins. We know what Sodom and Gomorrah was, how the whole homosexuality, everything, in fact, angels and men. But he was able to bring up daughters in that land, and he was able to carry them righteous family out, even though the wife still turned back. So the mentorship of Abraham should show forth in whoever Lot has brought up. And the Bible recorded that with this Sodom and Gomorrah, they did well. So I think it was still good mentorship.
Thank you, my daughter.
I'm speaking from here. I have a problem as a member of my generation. Our parents guided us based on what they know about what people like you have done. Waiting on God, believing in God, subjecting our will, like you mentioned, to His principles, to His will. Taking His will to be superior over ours, even though if we push forward ours, He will allow it. Now, we see places where people push for their wills over God's, and then the consequences come much later. For example, we are seeing where you do not consult with God before taking on with Hagar, until tomorrow you still fear the product of that relationship. Now we have a generation that cannot wait. It's as though God is not solving it either our way, or he's not solving it as fast as we would have him to. And our will is just ahead. Now, I am of the understanding with some of our parents that we are afraid of what the product of tomorrow will be. Can you give counsel, can you give advice to our parents, especially concerning my generation, on how we can relate with God, or how they can submit us to God so that we get it right?
Well, thank you very much. On that score, I will stand up. I want to advise that you premise this anxiety of the younger generation on an acronym I have called LOCK. 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 First thing is the love that we are expected to have for God. We are expected to love God to the point of fearing Him and understanding who He is. It does not matter what generation we belong to. God remains God. He remains, is neither too early nor too late. Once upon a time, one of the sisters of this dead man, Lazarus, was blaming Jesus Christ for the death of her brother, that he didn't come on time. That could be likened to the present generation of haste. The syndrome, what we call it the microwave syndrome. Everything you want to do quick. We must situate everything on the love of God that goes deep to the place of fear. Second, the O is obedience. We must learn to obey all that God has said, and you cannot obey without the love that gets to the point of fear of God. Because you know that when you disobey, there are consequences of disobedience. It may not be immediate, but it will come. Because God has given us a will, but that will is to be exercised in the presence of His Spirit. Nothing else matters to Him. The third one is C, the call of God upon our lives. The call of God upon our lives is very important. We're a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation. Yes, we are peculiar people, and sorry?
Call out of darkness to His glorious light.
Yes. He has called us into His marvelous light. There's a call of God upon us, and a lot of people don't realize that call. We behave as if we are on our own. A lot of people behave, and that is the challenge of our young people. They really don't realize that the price has been paid upon us as Christians, and that call we carry about. And the last one, K, is knowledge. We must have knowledge to the point that we want to believe God without questions. When the rod of Moses turned into a snake, God had told him to pick the snake from the tail. It is not commonsensical. If if Moses processed that instruction in his brain, he would disobey God. But the knowledge of God will make you to behave like those Jews that said, even if this God will not save us, we will not do what the emperor asked us to do. And what resulted? They did not bow to the king. They did not budge to the peer group influence. And of course, they did not burn.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. They did not bow. They did not budge. And they did not burn. Hallelujah. And on that score, I want to challenge all of us tonight. We have the failures of Abraham, and we have the successes of Abraham. I will just quickly, we have touched on our time is fast, but it's very important for us to deal with one or two of them. One, he succeeded where his father failed. A lot of our younger people blame their parents for their failures. My father did not do this. My father did not do that. My father didn't do this. The lot of excuses. There was a young man that I discovered the pastor this week. He went to one of the poorest schools in Yanyan. He made a first class in Fort Mena in electrical engineering. First class. He went to the poorest of the poorest schools. If it was what that man was doing to them was enough to discourage that young man from achieving anything. A lot of our young people make the blame game. They enjoy it. They begin to say, my father did not do this, my mother did not do this. What did you do? There was a portion in my Bible that I wrote when Solomon became king. According to my father David. According to my father David. I wrote somewhere, what about according to you? He has not. I'm waiting for a time when I will see him and ask him. You seem to be your daddy's rapper. According to my father David, according to my father David. So we must, as young people, be very careful not to stay put without taking challenges headlong. The second point is that Miles Monroe said that the richest place is the graveyard. The richest place on earth is the graveyard, where ambitions have been buried. People have a lot of ambitions that did not accomplish. People blaming this, blaming that, and never doing anything until they go back to where they came from. The second point is that Abraham led his household by example. In Genesis chapter 18, when he received the 3 visitors, it is recorded that Abraham did not just sit down and give instructions like the Lord of the manor in the manner of the Lord. He did a lot by himself and ensured that the right things were done. And when these visitors were eating, he waited on them personally. The Bible records that he waited. He had myriads of servants that said, 3 of you go and stand by them. This man waited. He led his family by example. He gave example. He led his family. The third point is that his life was good and pleasing enough to God for him to become God's choice to father the people God decided to choose unto himself. He prepared for his exit. That's another thing. In Genesis 25, Abraham prepared for his exit. He never allowed a rancorous situation after he had departed. The Bible tells us in Genesis chapter 25 that he gave this to Isaac and he gave gifts to the others. He settled his departure. Men, please, some people know that their husband have other wives, other children, only when they are being buried. You know, a lot of things are hidden. Men hide a lot of things from their wives. In fact, I heard one young man say, is how do you tell your wife how much you earn? Those things are not things that you should discuss to women. So these are issues about life, our Christian, our attitude as Christians should be the Bible. Our tradition should be the Bible. And what are his failures? And this is our point of prayers tonight as we close. Number one, Abraham was selfish. Abraham displayed selfishness in the sense that he was ready, and indeed he gave up Sarah for the pleasures of Egypt. He gave up Sarah because Sarah could have been violated by the king, by the Pharaoh. If he was a terrible woman, I would damn the dream. And then look this fine girl. The story, I will tell the story after I have done what I needed to do. So, and it was Abraham, he selfishly gave up Sarah. How are we treating our wives, husbands? How are we treating our wives? We may not just give them up the way Sarah has given them. Abraham has given Sarah. You know what to do to give impression that you are the Lord and master of the house. I've always said that it is an abomination for a husband to demand respect. A husband should command respect. A husband should do what? Command respect. The second issue is about the advice about, or the Hagar's conundrum. What I call Hagar's conundrum. Although polygamy was excusable in his day, he accepted Sarah's advice for him to accept God. Accepting God, Abraham knows his stand with God. I think the decision to accept God was something that was terrible, and it was just God that intervened. If God did not intervene, it could have been something else. And finally, how do we take responsibility for our weaknesses? How do we take responsibility for our weaknesses? There are weaknesses that we know we have as human beings. Do you want to begin to do the blame game? If God had queried Abraham, why did you submit your wife? Why did you push your wife to this? He will say, it was the advice. Why did you go into your Hagar? My wife gave me just like Adam did when he ate the forbidden fruit. The woman you gave me, as if you don't have the will of your own. Shall we bow down to pray?